Subscribe for Reddit's controversial opinions. Heavy metal is an underrated and culturally misunderstood genre. Heavy metal gets a bad rap, as most of you know. This of course comes from some of the extreme subgenres of metal, such as death or black metal. The vocals in these genres generally consist of unintelligible growls or incoherent screaming. Don't even get me started on the subject matter of these genres. This is where the confusion arises. When any non-metalhead hears the term heavy metal, they most likely think of random screaming into the mic and somewhat unrhythmic instrumentals. However, heavy metal is much more than that. It's home to some of the greatest guitar riffs and solos of all time. Traditional heavy metal bands like Black Sabbath or Iron Maiden are the true heavy metal, and any fan will agree. I'm not hating on any subgenre, just explaining why most people will dislike it and how they interpret it. Damn, I was gonna say this opinion. I love heavy metal and I don't like that it gets so much hate. People think it requires you to be angry and bang your head. It's not even that bad, it's just like how some good songs make you want to dance, like for example some people cry and fall down whenever they listen to gospel music in church. You don't have to cry and fall down, but the music hits you and you feel like doing that. Heavy metal is a very misunderstood music genre. A lot of it actually has a deeper message behind it, but people just get stuck on the fact that someone is yelling, so they automatically dismiss it and hate on it. They're yelling because there is emotion and meaning. Sorry dude, but if you're just blindly shitting on subgenres you're not a fan of, you're part of the problem. You had me till you started shit talking death and black metal. Here's the thing, you're shitting on black metal and death metal and making gross generalizations about the subgenres and their subject matter to combat people shitting on heavy metal? Don't you see the irony here? Unpopular opinion: popular bands such as Black Sabbath or Iron Maiden should not be used to represent an entire genre. I don't know, iron and steel are pretty common. Those metals are pretty heavy. I mean yes. But let's not act like death metal ain't a fucking solid genre. What's ironic about this is that you don't seem to understand metal yourself. I'm not personally a fan of the aesthetic of scream-y metal. I can kinda deal with some bands that only do it sometimes, but full-on screamy just ain't my thing. However, I also know that doing those sorts of vocals actually takes tremendous skill. You'd wreck yourself in a day if you didn't have incredible vocal technique. A lot of people who do this get classical training in order to acquire the control needed to do it safely, and some even have opera backgrounds. Extreme metal, both vocally and instrumentally, is also usually not random or unrhythmic. Take Dillinger Escape Plan, which is a band that uneducated people often say this about. The structure of their songs are actually based on extremely complex math equations. It's called mathcore. Sounds random unless you've got the talented and obsessive ear for it, but it's the farthest thing from it. I don't often listen to bands like that, but I have tremendous respect for the complexity and skill of what they do. I get what you're trying to say, but let's not trash on death metal and black metal, which have been the most active subgenres for the last 30 years that continue to push the genre as a whole forward. And they're likely the most commercially successful subgenres of metal through the time period as a whole, excluding legacy acts, your Iron Maidens, Metallicas, Black Sabbaths. I mean, Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden have bangers for sure. Iron Maiden has been my distance running mix for the last 5 years, When You're Reading to Gas Out, Time for Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, but they're not exactly putting out relevant music these days. Give me Wattane's Trident Wolf Eclipse or Devourment's Obscene Majesty over Iron Maiden's Book of Souls any day of the week. Most people don't even know what metal songs are about. Master of Puppets is an anti-drug song and talks about the dangers of addiction and how drugs will control your life to the death. I like heavy metal. Mutual fans, smiley face. I also like Five Finger Death Punch. Fans, sad face. I really do love heavy metal, but I get shit for who I like and I'm kinda upset. You have got to be shitting me, right? Are you trying to tell me fucking trad metal is underrated? Because if you go literally anywhere and bands like Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath are praised beyond belief, I mean hell, I still see no shortage of large praise for black metal and death metal groups. Metal is not unpopular at all, nor is it underrated. Sounds like you also misunderstand and underrate black metal and death metal. Those two genres specifically don't have random screams and growls. Metal screaming is not easy, and black metal does not require any screaming, as both genres' names come from the subject matter, anti-Christianity/religion for BLSCK metal, death, and afterlife for death metal. Metal with random screaming would probably be some form of extreme metal or grindcore. I don't know, because I don't follow those genres much, except Cradle of Filth, which could be considered extreme metal. Screaming and growling take talent. Most people can't do it, and there is musical construction and composition to it. It is far from random, and it's grossly underrated and underappreciated.